Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Munson Steed, and welcome to another edition of Rolling Out News Report. I will be joined momentarily by my co-host, Terry Shropshire. This evening, we have a very exciting program. The community is definitely having a wonderful uprising. But in the midst of an uprising, there is a very invisible enemy, an enemy for our health, our families' welfare, so we have to all be more than careful. I would like for us to think about the methodologies that we choose to use in order for us to secure the safety of our family and friends as we move this evening toward understanding. There are many things that you can do. One is to actually read. Reading will help you foster the courage necessary to stay in place. This evening, we have a wonderful guest that will actually give you insight to how books are made, performed, promoted, and more. I tell you, Kevin Hunter has an idea, one that will bring the community together and forge a new publishing empire. Good evening, Terry. How are you?
How you doing, sir? I apologize. I went through some technical difficulties trying to get in. We're Rolling Out has a lot of shows and back to back, so it kind of kicked me out. So I apologize, but I'm here and ready to serve you, sir.
Serve the community, Terry.
Well, yeah, but serving Rolling Out, I'm serving the community.
Nice shirt, man. Nice shirt.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's nice shirt.
Them numbers is going high, T. I mean, I think we're going to reach 200 maybe by the 4th of July if things keep up with what's going on right now. The lack of beds inside these cities is appalling, given that we all knew that if we opened up, that the number of beds inside of hospitals would begin to lose their capacity. And with the rise, we're seeing a lack of the ability to really address those who are going to be in need soon, maybe during or right after this next holiday.
Yeah, the CDC said a 25 states report increase, with half of those states reporting dramatic increase of COVID cases. We're now up to 2.3 million. 2.3 million people who have been infected, and more than 120,000 who have died since March. That's just since March. And so, yes, we have a lot of things going on. And I see that we have our colleague who I've worked with a lot in the past, Miss Sonia, Alleyne, formerly of Black Enterprise, and she now is working in the esteemed city of, or county, city, county, or state of New York. Take your pick.
Yeah, I actually resigned, but really good seeing you, Terry. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. Yeah, good to see you. So which one is it, city, county, or state? Or did you?
Well, it was the city.
Okay. I see. I got you. Okay.
Right.
So so it's good to see you, and I understand that you have come out with a new book. And so, first of all, before we begin, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Okay, all righty. And thank you, Munson. Good evening to you too. Thank you.
Hey.
A really long time.
Hey. What's up, Sonia? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
So
every day that you wake up during what we're going through right now is a good day, right? So I'm good. So I am a writer, author, editor, business owner now as well. And so Terry and I worked a lot when I was editor at Black Enterprise magazine. I was there for about 14 years and handled career and lifestyle, was one of the founding editorial directors for the Women of Power Summit, which is now, I think, in its 12th year. And so my interest has always been around career development and helping people understand how to navigate the workplace. And I was actually in this last job that you were talking about. And, you know, when I interview people to come work for me or to intern with me, I always say to them, like, you know, well, what do you want your LinkedIn to say when you leave, or what do you want your resume to say? And I found myself in the same position where I was trying to figure out, like, you know, how effective I had been in the job that I was currently in. And so I decided to take, hey, Kevin's come in. And so, nope.
Hey, Kevin.
And so I decided to take a minute in the day and write down some of my accomplishments. And when I had finished and looked at my list, I literally said to myself, I kick ass at work. And so that was the inspiration for the name of the book, and for the work that we're going to be doing in terms of helping people understand how to navigate in the workplace. Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like first.
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. I live in the city, so there's always a lot of police activity going on. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It looks like you're not the only one kicking ass. It looks like the first responders are as well.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so, you know, I decided to create this journal. It's the first of its kind. And the goal is to help people look at what they do every day in the workplace and examine it and decide for themselves how they can best enhance what they're doing or stop what they're doing that could be, you know, creating problems. The second purpose of this journal too is to write down your accomplishments as they happen, because many of us are so busy with the work that we don't focus on our achievements, or sometimes we don't have time to focus on our achievements. And the further you go away from the achievement, the less detail you remember about it. And so it's important that you have all of this information documented so that when you're ready to tell your professional story, you have all the information with you and at your fingertips.
So how did you and Kevin, you can introduce yourself after this, my man. I want you to understand we need more individuals like you bringing forth the stories and publishers. But how did you and Kevin connect? I mean, where did that happen? I mean, like, you know, I know you're around, but it's you know.
You want to say something?
Yeah, you know, I do. And I don't think I've ever had a chance to actually say to you, thank you so much. Because when I came up with the idea, I ran into a friend and colleague, Nancy, who we had worked together previously at Black Enterprise. And so we'd run into each other on the train, and I told her that I was working on this book. And so she said, you know, the Hunters are working on a book. You know, when I told her what it was about, she said, you know, this might be a perfect fit. But before I ran into Nancy, I had worked with a literary agent who thought it was a good idea, but his response to me was, because it hadn't been done before, he didn't think that publishers would respond. And so when I finally got into interview and pitch with Kevin, you know, it wasn't a lot to say. I didn't have to do a song and dance. He understood it right away. He understood the importance of it. He understood the premise. He asked a lot of questions. And when we were finished the interview, he was supporting it. He was supporting it. And so, you know, it's been a long journey from that meeting to where we got here. But yeah, I just want to thank you, Kevin, for hanging in there and sticking with me through all that. We worked with a couple of other parent publishing companies. And yeah, I'm really proud of this book. I'm proud of the partnership. And I'm really just grateful for your support.
I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Sonia, from the inception of hearing her story, you know, it was different. And, you know, I'm definitely into trying innovative new things. You know, it's not too many new things you can do in the publishing space aside from stories. So her concept with the journal and documenting all of your achievements, like even for men, like when I think about all the times where I wanted to document, or I wish I could go back and I forgot when I left that meeting or so where I needed to interject it. But if I have this journal to refer to, you know, my accomplishments, you know, I mean, it's just a dynamic, great idea. And Sonia's a hustler, you know, let's not, you know, make no mistake about it. Like, it's great working with somebody who likes to work, and I like to work as well. So, you know, it was a great fit. And, you know, like, kudos to you as we launch this endeavor. Kudos.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me on this platform, by the way.
Yeah.
Sir. I can't hear you.
Oh yeah, you're on. You have to unmute Munson. There you go.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my air condition down low.
Okay.
No, you're always welcome, Kevin, and Sonia, you are as well, because it is important that we talk about Black economics.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, if we're not going to produce products, then who cares? If we're going to be unconscious consumers,
Absolutely.
you know, if we're going to not have Black CEOs, Kevin, then we're just going to lose our position even more in this society, because they're going to say, well, you don't do that. Because now we can say to Barnes and Noble, where is your Black independent section?
Right.
We can say to Amazon, where is your Black promoted section? Not people who are in create space. Not that that's a bad place, but where is our section?
Right.
You know, to touch on that, all of the business that I've done prior to launching this imprint to put out material, you know, all of the book companies, publishing houses, and I would say that, you know, in my last situation, we've kind of dealt with pretty much all of them, and that's how I met Nancy. Nancy and I, you know, we formulated books, and you know, and when I think about the voice, it's much like a record label. You know, they definitely want our content.
Right.
But when it comes to the marketing and really adapting to what we need to do to really impact like our community, they kind of lost. So this whole thing was, you know, starting it was really just to put out our own material at the time, the Hunters. But as we delved more into it, we was like, listen, if we have opportunity to give people voices and expand all this literature that we need to desperately get into younger people's hands so that they can, you know, they can refer to Sonia's story. Sonia is a warrior. Like, she's a warrior, and how she's put together this piece of work is just crazy. Like, the journal part of it, I was blown away. I've never seen nothing like that. I know a lot of companies would shy away from it, but I'm looking for something that you want to keep for years upon end. Like, this is something once you go back to, oh, I did this, I can go back to it. So that's what kind of was the inspiration of us, you know, putting out other material like Sonia's, and we want to keep that going. We want to definitely strengthen the Black dollar, you know, especially in these times, and, you know, empower ourselves. So, you know, even though Barnes and Nobles and bookstores are closing by the dozens, you know, hopefully this message, as we keep it going and have more creative marketing, we can help, you know, break that barrier. But that's what it's all about.
You know, clearly, Kevin, you know, my point is, while they're still open, we need access.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've published 7 children's books, Kevin, so far. And I have another woman's book coming out, Sonia, so we'll have it. And I own blackbookstore.com.
Oh.
So, we're figuring that part out right now, back in. I just share that to say that we will have our own destinations coming soon. So that's important. But Sonia, for people who don't understand the value of journaling, why don't you share? Because it's really key to you understanding yourself and being able to have a conversation with yourself and your accomplishments.
Exactly. And so I think a lot of people understand the importance of journaling in terms of for their lives, right? So I think that's been popular for a lot of people. But, you know, the other part of my inspiration, I was a big Mad Men fan. And Don Draper, who was the head of the advertising agency for that show, there was an episode where he came home and he journaled. He had a really tough day, and he journaled about, you know, what had gone on that day. And I was just like, how powerful is that? I mean, you know, like I said, we tend to journal in terms about, you know, life issues. But, you know, if you've worked in a corporate environment, you understand how stressful it can be, how competitive it is, how it's hard to trust people in that environment. And plus you have one deadline after the next. And so if you're not really conscious about where you are in your journey and how you're operating in it, yeah, you can wipe yourself out, right? So, you know, what I tell people is, like, we know all the isms exist. We know racism exists, sexism, homophobia, ageism, all of the isms exist. And they have existed. I mean, you know, lately we've been talking a lot about racism. Well, it's, you know, it's not just police brutality. Like, police brutality is just like one small piece of racism in this country. It's in the fabric, it's in the pores of what we do. So we know that all this stuff exists. In the meantime, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to handle yourself? And what are your strategies to be able to move yourself ahead? And so you can't keep all that stuff up in your brain, right? You have to be able to look at it and look at your role, right? Your role and your behavior in how some of these things are happening.
Can I see the book?
Oh, absolutely. I got to get you a copy, Winston.
Yeah.
You're beautiful. You got to show the picture.
We talking about
this. So this woman is wearing
I don't
a
want
cape.
you to say you're on my platform, but I didn't show the book. I couldn't find it. I don't want to hear that. This ain't shameless. Like, they're gonna go out and buy some Krispy Kreme donuts. They don't like them. Right. Go out and
also go to hunterpublishing.com.
That's right. Go directly there. Yeah. Because that's what this is about too. It's about getting Barnes and Nobles or Amazon to see us, but it's also about supporting Black-owned businesses and supporting them directly. Because we still got to give a cut. When you go through Amazon, you still got to give Amazon their cut. You still got to give Barnes and Nobles their cut. And so part of what this marching is all about, and these protests are about, is really, racism is about economics at the end of the day. And so, what are our plans to be able to support one another better? And what are our roles in that, right? To be able to do those things as well.
Sonia, I never told you that your book also helped me in this crucial time in my life redefine a few things. Like I never thought about documenting. I never had to document all my accomplishments. And at this point in my life, I kind of do. And it was your book, and with everything happening, it helped me really, so it's not just, for women. I want to say it's great. It's primarily for women, but for me, it helped me kind of really redefine a few things.
Wow. And that makes me feel good. Directing it toward women was, everything's about marketing as well. And so it's easier to get women to understand that, this is a tool that you should use. But the inspiration actually came from a man, and men do. All the presidents do. That's how they're able to write their memoirs when they're done. It's because they document, what they've done at the end of every day for the time that they're there. So documentation is really important so that you can see what you're doing. You can gain perspective and insight, and it helps you to be self-aware. Self-awareness is probably the most important gift you can give yourself, because what you realize is when you're more self-aware is that you have much more control over your destination than you think. And a lot of times what we do is we give our power away. We want to say who's not going to let us do something or who's stopping us from doing something. And you have to deal with all these different personalities in the workplace. And people may not like you because of your race, because of where you've come from, because of your size, because of there are all these reasons, but you have a lot more control over these situations if you just take a minute to be self-aware and understand your goal as well, right? So that you're not just working in an environment without a strategy. The people who hired you know why they hired you, right? They hired you for a particular reason because they have some goals in mind. You have to understand what your goals are for your life and set them into motion in the place and decide if this is the place, because that's the other important thing to decide too, right? When you start documenting these things and looking at what's going on in your environment, then you can make a decision. Is this the best environment for me to go forward? Or do I need to take my experience, my knowledge, and my expertise and find a better fit for myself?
I see. And I found, that people hated on me, because I'm so pretty. But the thing about it is that before I go to Mr. Hunter, I wanted to ask you, Sonia, as you took an inventory of your life and your career. I should say your career, and you enumerated the number of things in your head or on a piece of paper of things you accomplished. What did you Did you surprise yourself? Because I learned,
I
when you write things,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I said, like, my response was, I kick ass at work, because I was sitting there beating myself up, thinking, wow, like, you've been here for 4 years. Like, I was literally saying to myself, what have you done? Like, what is your resume going to look like? What is your LinkedIn going to look like? Have you accomplished as much as you wanted to accomplish? But I was in such a fast-paced environment. There was one deadline after the next. I was in an environment where accomplishments weren't being celebrated. Right. So all I'm doing, I was just running. And when I finally took a minute to look at what I had accomplished, it was like first and initiated and all of these like great things for me. They might not have been great for the company, or they might not have been celebrated as much as I would have liked them to be celebrated by the organization. But in terms of my professional story, it was strong. And it was a story that I could take anywhere else. And my credentials could stand up against anyone else in this field or the positions that I had held. But, a lot of times we look for other people to celebrate us, right? And so what I want this book to do is to encourage people to, because, you'll get raises, or you may get promotions, or you may get acknowledgements, but not every win in your organization is going to be celebrated. It's just, corporations they just can't. But you have to celebrate your individual wins, because they're all part of your story, your narrative. And so whatever you've done in, every job that you have, you're really auditioning for your next position. And so you have to be clear on all the talents and all the expertise and everything that you've developed in this space, so that you can sell yourself effectively to your next employer.
Yes, and Mr. Hunter, I wanted to find out exactly, because this is not the easiest type of business to start and to run. So what inspired you to start the publishing company?
We need to read more. I seen an industry that was dying as I was putting out material with my previous person I was working with, my ex-wife, and I just seen where, it was just a dying industry, and especially with, stories of color, stories inspired by people of color, informative stories, being promoted the right way, at these companies, unless you are like a real big name talent, or they basically want you to sell yourself, and you sell it yourself. And I got kind of tired of the big advances and no output. It was like they wanted a show pony situation more than, really examine the story. I wanted to eventually, do stories that were going to impact, my people, people in general, of substance. And again, with the industry dying, it was like, you know what? I'm not really into the music thing, like as much as people would like, everything that was encompassed around my situation. But literature, I like to read. I like to be informed. I like, I'm always traveling. So like I'm picking up something, reading something. I don't want to be glued to the phone all the time, but I like to read. I like to be informed. So I wanted to be able to put my stamp, on something that I'm proud of and help empower, and help be informative, just, prolific pieces of work if I can get to it, something to be, and that to me is to be celebrated more than anything. Just being able to fill our libraries with much more powerful content. That's just, I think Sonia is very powerful, that content.
I see. Well, I'm a bibliophile, so I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? I devour books. I'm a ravenous reader. But how do we make it more attractive, more intellectually titillating, to get our people in mass to read like they did when our parents were our age? How do we get them to do that on that level that we used to do? Because you're right, it is a dying breed. It's on its deathbed, it seems like.
Powerful stories, powerful, innovative approaches to the same situation, much like Sonia's, like a real different approach. Most people buy books, some people buy them, trade them off to people, or take them back. When I saw her book, I immediately thought this is something someone would want to keep. And if you're going to pass it to somebody, well, here's my story. Look what I did. Look if you don't mind, look what I did. Look how I documented myself. It's personal. It has to be creative, and not just what you put in content, but the marketing. How are we marketing this? Obviously, during these crazy times, we have to be creative. But I think you know, along with having someone like Sonia who is ready for the grind and is willing, she's a beautiful speaker. The creative ways that we go about it to impact our people is much like, you know, no different. I look at this project much like promoting a record, you know, even though I'm not in the music business. So the take on that is depending on the artist that you're working with, you try to, you know, complement what they're strong at. In Sonia's case, she speaks well. She speaks very well, as you can see. She you know, and people need to hear her story so that they can understand that, you know, I won't mind following you and reading your material because you speaking it, you convincing with it. Your story is powerful. She's worked at several great institutions that, you know, that are to be celebrated. I found it very, you know, I actually felt like, do you really want to work with me as I'm coming out the gate, you know, with this entity? And then, you know, she still stood strong throughout. You know, I respect integrity. So, you know, I don't know if this is answering the question per se, but how do we market it? We market it, let's say, somewhat guerrilla style in these trying times. And that is speaking to the people, reaching the people. We want to impact communities and plan events so that we can have her not just relay the message, but get the message out to these institutions, these schools, you know, the best way we can, you know, not just through the internet, but just through reaching out and touching people and speaking the story. You know, that's my goal. I'm from old school where, you know, I was used to getting, instead of being promoted on the internet and getting stuff, I was used to receiving old school flyers for advertisements. So I kind of take that approach in how we want to move this book. You know, like, you know, every book is as precious as the last one. And, you know, we definitely are committed. I'm committed to seeing, you know, as much success as possible, you know, and not excluding her material is so powerful. I mean, it's not to be given away, but my thing is I've noticed myself here that this is so powerful here. You know, you know, I will make up for that because this is what's needed right now, right? Especially right now. People are trying to redefine their whole situation. They're getting fired. They don't know how. And this is a way to kind of upstart that, like, you know, just to kickstart the whole situation.
Yeah, this is kind of serendipitous, Sonia. And congratulations, first of all, for both
Thank you, Ted.
on your new adventure. You know, you're stepping in a new direction, and that takes guts, even during this time. But we have been talking about, Munson and I, in the past shows about about people reinventing themselves and taking personal inventory of their lives and seeing where they are. And they've either lost jobs or got downsized or whatever, and they don't know where their next move is going to make. And this, and plus you're in the middle of a lockdown, still in the middle of a pandemic, and who knows, we might have to lock down again with the way the direction this country is going.
Exactly.
This is the perfect time, more than any other in their lives. This little opening might be the only window that they have to reinvent themselves. So your book is actually fortuitous that you finish this book at this time, because people are looking to go in a different direction, reinvent themselves, and your book might, you know, will help them do that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying, Sonia? And so, but what I wanted to ask Kevin, Mr. Hunter, is that your company, now you have you got a roster now, you know what I'm saying? Tell us a little bit more about the company, what direction you want to take it, the roster, what other books can we look forward to, that sort of thing.
We can look forward to not just Sonia's book, T.T. Torres, you know, Triumph, a story of triumph over tragedy with her situation. She grew up in the mean streets of the Bronx, and, you know, she suffered, her story is just, she suffered all kinds of abuse in her perils to get to where she's at. I don't want to spill too much tea, but at the end of the day,
I won't tell nobody.
I'm sure. At the end of the day, she is now one of the most influential people in New York City radio. And I personally know her plight to have been no nonsense. She's one of the few women in radio that I really respect, and in the entertainment business that did not get there in a nefarious way. So, you know, she pretty much every step of the way, and her story, her personal story, what she went through as a child growing up to get to where she's at, it's a phenomenal plight. We have Ray Hamlin. His book he's a social injustice warrior. Right now, with everything we're going through, Ray Hamlin has battled some of the biggest cases in Newark's judicial system, dealing with race, dealing with discrimination. And, you know, I personally know him as well. He has helped me through plights of amazingness, but just him and him documenting his time when Cory Booker was in Jersey, and that whole is phenomenal. But his stories about social injustice and what he's done are just, they're crazy. And you know what I want to do with Hunter Publishing is put out material that, you know, reflects more of what I'm seeing now, what I've seen growing up, empowering people and educating them, you know, with stories, you know, not just primarily from Black people, but, you know, I do want to celebrate my people first and foremost. And, you know, just interesting content. We also have a book with Larry Davis's widow, where we have, I guess, the only large amount of documentation on Larry Davis, all his love letters. You know, she married him while he was in jail, and we had like 1,000 pieces of documentation from Larry with everything he's been through and his whole struggles. And this is like a love story told through the eyes of his widow, who was 13 years his senior. And, you know, it's just interesting what Larry had to go through right before his untimely demise, you know, and how he fought, you know, and what, you know, what he went through before he was supposed to be released from jail, everything that happened, and then what happened in the course of him, you know, being in jail. So, you know, those stories and stories like that, I want to get to, that are really going to hit a vein in people and get them to want to not put that book down. You know, one of the best books I've ever read to date was The Coldest Winter Ever. That was the first time I got interested, and that was Sister Soldier's book.
Sister Soldier. Yeah.
And that book has, that was the book, I haven't had too many pieces of literature in my hand that make me want to not. And that was, I guess, a fictional story, but I want to base the stories, the real stories, some of the fictional stories, on that kind of energy that you want to really be, you know, you want to really be into the book. Like, you really want to, you know, read, keep reading, and, you know, so. That's what you see is what you get. You know, I'm not gonna act like I had this extensive history in publishing. What I did was fill a situation that is to spark a plethora of situations and material that hopefully one day that my kids will be proud of, you know, and more people will be proud of as well. You know, I've been kind of like what's the words? Pigeonholed into a certain kind of journalism a majority of my working life. So now this affords me the opportunity to bring stories that I feel real passionate about to the forefront. Sonia's is the story, and, you know, the ones I mentioned as well. So.
Then there's no better feeling than to take your hobby or something that you're passionate with and actually help people along with stacking them coins. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, that's the quintessential embodiment of the
exactly.
Right. That's the quintessential embodiment. I'm sorry.
We need our people to support and buy more books so that we can all take them coins and recirculate them in our community. So
community.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Sonia, back to you. I know that we are men's here on this show, but you said your book is geared towards women.
It is.
Okay. So, what are the reasonable expectations that you have right now? Like, what are some of the things that you would like for women to get, especially young women, to get out of your book? Like, when they finish the last page, you want them to learn or have internalized what? Been inoculated with what? Yeah,
I want women to just have more control over their career path. And to know that they have the power to direct it, and you have power at every stage. And, you know, sometimes when you're starting your career, you think that you have to, you know, because you don't know a lot of things, that you have to take a lot of things, and that's not necessarily the case. Like, you really do have to work hard, of course, but I want women to understand it's more important to work smart. Right. So when you're in school, right, you work really hard and you get good grades. That's the payoff. And so a lot of us, and it's how we've been taught, right? Like, you work, you know, just work really hard, work twice, 3 times as hard as everybody else. And so we take that school attitude because we got, you know, good grades and scholarships and dean's list, and we take that attitude into the workplace. But there are a whole lot of other things that go into the workplace that working hard is not what's going to move you forward. So you got to have a network. You got to have mentors. You got to have a sponsor. you've got to know what you really want to do, right? And you've got to be clear about it. And so all of those things, if what I want women to be is clear about their direction and focused on it, and to make clear choices. You always have a choice, right? Even in a really bad situation.
Sonia.
Choice.
Sonia.
Yes, sir.
Brother Munson. I kick ass. Isn't that the name of the title?
I kick ass at work.
I kick ass. So I kick ass will inspire women to understand how to appreciate themselves. I kick ass will definitely allow them to chronicle their kicking of ass during that process.
Absolutely.
I kick ass so that I am confident in myself and understanding that I am affirming myself. Where I may have doubted myself. I kick ass. Right. Is that
right? I think we might have to hire you.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that we hear it about 8 times, Kevin.
Right. That's right. I kick ass at work
during the course of these interviews. Because the others may not want to hear the title, but I need you to win. So
let me tell you. Let me share this story. Representing one of what I consider to be one of the most powerful women in media today, right now, and going through and when I say that, I mean my ex-wife. Mm-hmm. When I was representing her and going through the perils of going through all the negotiations for, the dollars, the coins, mm-hmm. and knowing that she basically would run circles around her male counterparts when it comes to journalism and the field that she, not just in now, but previously radio and everything. Going into these offices and fighting for these dollars, with these men, this boys club. I'm sitting there, part of my reason why I got so involved was because I got so tired of her telling me that you can't get this because of what? Like you're doing it. And I personally don't really subscribe to women making 75 cents to a man's dollar, not in these days. So this journal, if I had this mindset back then, where I would document all her greatest accomplishments as I'm representing, it would have helped me tremendously, because I would just be running down with looks and this, that. And I'm not being cocky about it, but it's like you need that confidence going in there, because the whole point of the strategy is to disempower you as soon as you walk through the door. Like, no, you don't deserve this. So when you like, no, look, hey, if you could tell me someone else who's done this, then I'm hey. And that might even give you the energy to go somewhere else. And some people are so scared to make the move, and it's like, no, you know what? If they're not gonna give it to me, I'm gonna go get it somewhere else, because I'm good at mine. And so that's really was a lot of the inspiration of getting behind her, and seeing what she was representing with this book too. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
And she does kick ass at work. As you can see through her many jobs, she has been kicking ass for some years. Okay.
For years. That's right. That's right. And you got to own that. That's right. That's right. So
I consider myself kicking ass.
Yeah. I had, I had worked with this political coach, and she said that, when they would identify women to go into politics, and they might say, you know what, you have 4 of the 5 things that is going to be needed to do this job. And they said almost every single time the women would go, all right, let me go work on this 5th thing, and I'll get back to you. And if they had gone, when they would go to men and say, you got like 2 or 3 of the 5 things that I think would really help you, men most times would be like, so when do we get started? All right. So that's the attitude that I want women to have, is that, when you, like what Kevin just said, when you've documented everything and you see it in front of you and you know it in your soul, it gives you a whole lot more confidence to go out there and kick ass in whatever job you want to kick ass in.
And get your coins.
And get your coins.
Quarantine. I need my coins. I know what I'm worth.
I know what I'm worth. Yes, let's get these coins. Yeah.
So what bit of advice, Sonia, that you would give people who haven't written yet, who don't think they have a story, or don't think their life is interesting enough, or they don't think they've accomplished enough? What would you say to persuade them?
I've met a lot of people who say they have stories in them, And what I would say is, if you have a story, just start writing. And spiritually, I believe that once you start doing the work, I believe then the universe supports that work, right? And so if you have a story, just start writing. I had no idea, you know, when I tell people like how my journey through this whole thing, I had written this book and ran into Nancy at a crazy hour. I was heading into work, and I won't even tell you what time it was. I was so late for work. And I was beating myself up on the train because I was so late for work. But if I hadn't been there at that time, I wouldn't have met Nancy, who told me that she was meeting with the hunters about this thing. So, you know, there are no coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. I would tell people just to keep writing. The hardest thing about writing is writing, right? So you have to do it every day. It's an exercise. And so you have to be disciplined. You have to do it. And you know, Terry, you know, one of the sayings writers like to say, I hate to write, but I love to have written, right? So when it's done, you can say, you know what, I'm done. Keep a diary and just keep writing. You'll be surprised when you go back over your diary of all the things that you've written, what you've actually composed. And so, yeah, and don't let anybody tell you no. Like, I mean, again, in this process, we were working with a major publisher, and you know, the publisher's attitude was like, why are we working with Sonia? Have you seen her Instagram numbers? She's got like no followers. Like, why are we working with her? So it's, you know, if a project is supposed to be born, it will be born. It'll come through. And like I said, that's why I'm so grateful to Kevin, because there could have been a lot of barriers to me entering this place, but he stuck with me and with the project throughout the entire time. And
you stuck with me. You stuck with me too. Okay, through this entire time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. I'm committed to, you know, doing the most. You never complain, you never nothing. And you could have. So, and some people would have. So I'm committed. This is the team to beat. And you will see more of Hunter Publishing. You will see more books. You will see more books from Sonia. This is not all she has.
This is not all I have.
Okay, so, you know.
No, that's what's up. Once you got through your first, this is your first book, right, Sonia? So
this is actually my second book. So the first book I co-authored,
Okay.
And this is my first independent book, yes.
Okay. So you got through that process. You know the process. You know how to do it. So now you know what to do to go the next time. So
so for you people in the audience, just to keep writing every single day, and and then you can self-publish too. I mean, there's so many opportunities to get. There's social media. There's so many platforms to be able to get your.
We got a book club coming up, so we got to make sure that when they start, they consider your book for sure. You know, we understand that that's what it takes, so it's going to be definitely part of our engagement with our audience.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to that. So that happens mid-July.
Right.
Obviously sponsored by blackbookstore.com, which is going to be great for us. So we got a relaunch of the site. We got to deal with Ingram. We got side deals with independent publishers. We got side deals with everybody else related, so that the community can stay connected. So we are really into publishing and us giving a voice, and looking forward to the audiobook, allowing people to know how technologically to really journal and get your book from an audio file.
Yes, working on that.
Because many people may not be able to write, and the future might be audio, following your same journal and doing it in an audio file, so that people have that capacity. Because Malcolm Gladwell's new book that has Sandra Bland in it is a strong example, Kevin, of what books are in the future. It really uses her voice to tell the story. So I can just imagine you and the people that you know sharing insight as you do your audiobook and share the journey of journaling and walking. You have one of those angelic voices, so I can hear you. Don't forget today to journal at this moment and write down that meeting. You know, you have to
work together. This
is that moment for you. Just pause and record this moment, since you are not writing. And, you know, I could just hear that taking place. So definitely have that. But want to thank you both for coming on. We're very empowered by having empowered people around us, you know, who wants to, two dead batteries can't charge a car. So in business, we need, you know, strong batteries that got strong charges to keep each other going. So big ups to you, Kevin, and congratulations, Sonia.
Yes,
Thank you so
congratulations.
much for
Yes.
having us on.
Thanks.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
And good seeing you, Terry.
Yes,
Can I
good
add
seeing you
one
too.
thing? That Hunter Publishing is definitely looking for new authors, people who want to get their story out. I mean, you know, if you're ready to hustle, you know, this is not the place where you're just gonna get the cushy advance. So, you know, but if you're ready to hustle, you can make some money, and we can make some money. It's a partnership, and we are committed to putting out great material, and also hopefully we can develop a partnership with one of your many publishing entities, sir, in your book club. Because Sonia, you're right, her voice is beautiful, and we will be working on that audio book. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys again real soon.
All righty. Okay, take care. Bye.
Wow, great. Sonia did a phenomenal job, Terry. I'm really proud of her, and her excellence will shine through for sure.
Yeah.
We look forward to that.
Yeah. She, you know, I worked with her many times back in the day at Black Enterprise Magazine at many events around the country. When I used to go to those, the many Black Enterprise conferences in Columbus, New York, South Beach, all over the place. So yeah, so it was good reconnecting with her and see how she has progressed and that she's moving into new space. So I'm proud of her and congrats to her. And I look forward to seeing her in our book club. So hopefully a partnership can be connected and we can, you know, move forward with this partnership. But anyway, so I'm very proud of her and Mr. Hunter too, to see him step into a new space. So this is a time of reinvention. This is a time of you know, metamorphosis into a new space and into it's a new day, new thing. So I'm proud of them both. Absolutely.
Yeah, lots of transformations right about now. I mean, there's a lot of transformations.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of transformation, just a lot of things going on, and I know that you know, like a lot of news is very fluid. I mean, it's things going on.
Bubba. Yeah, they definitely talking about Bubba right about now.
Yeah. It turns out that to be a false alarm. So there's some cat calls going out that this is a Jussie Smollett situation. So he's going to take a little bit of grief. It turned out that, you know, he had all these people, the entire thing after you know, standing behind him, and it turns out that the FBI, they sent about a dozen agents down there to investigate, and it turns out that this was a rope that had been on the door long before he was there, and they didn't know he was going to get that particular door. It was a garage door closer, and it had been in the garage since 2019, so it had already been there. But it was shaped like a noose, and it wasn't Bubba Wallace who reported it. It was one of his crew members. But yet and still, the fact that they sent a dozen agents down there and the local police and they got national head play, and it turned out to be a false alarm. It's an interesting situation to be in right now. And also, you know, Bill Cosby, it just found out that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has voted to allow Mr. Cosby to get his, to have an appeal. Mr. Cosby is going to get an appeal based upon two premises, with the fact that, number one, he says that he was told in the beginning that his testimony, before he gave his testimony, that the previous prosecutor who had resigned was not going to introduce the evidence into the public. And he received that, he believed that, and then Mr. Cosby gave his testimony, and then it damning testimony. And then when it was released to the public, they had him. It was a wrap. So Bill Cosby, he won a right to appeal by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They're going to go ahead and listen to it based upon the fact that he believes that he was lied to by the previous prosecutor, and that it was sealed documents. It was supposed to be sealed, and then the court reporters basically leaked it to the press, and that's all she wrote. And so also the fact that that even though it was a trial based upon one person named Andrea Constant, that they introduced 5 more people into the mix. And so the Supreme Court is going to allow Mr. Cosby to appeal on those two premises. And so, yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out for Mr. Cosby, because especially on that first point where, he was told it was going to be sealed and never, ever be leaked to the press or to the public, and that it ended up being that, and then they tried to convict him on that information. That sounds like something that's worthy of an appeal. So we'll see how that turns out. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on. I wouldn't want to be either person right now. Bubba Wallace, he's probably taking it pretty hard right now, because all of the the United States federal government, local and county government, national media, and all of it was for nothing or for naught. So yeah.
But he didn't put it there, right?
No, he didn't put it there. It had been there since 2019. So at least he didn't do it, and at least he didn't discover the
comparing to
news.
Jesse, bro.
No, I'm not. I looked on social media before I came onto the show, and this is what some of the detractors and haters who already hated him were saying about him, saying that this was a false alarm, that it was fake. But yeah, this is but you can read more about this on rollingout.com, which I wrote myself, these stories. But yeah, so no, this company is not comparing him to. Is some of the detractors who didn't want Bubba Wallace there in the first place, who didn't want to remove the flag, the Confederate flag in the first place, who had something against him in the first place.
Who left the Noose, though? They left the Noose.
Yes. And so, yeah, some people are saying that
they left already.
Right. It was already there.
Right.
And they didn't know that he was going to be assigned.
So they didn't know that the Confederacy lost either, right? And they still erected statues.
Right. Right.
They didn't know that we didn't like the flag, right? They had no idea that NASCAR didn't know we didn't like the flag.
It's more of a matter of they didn't care. We were irrelevant to their decision making. They didn't care about our pain.
So this coincidence just happened, right? After they dropped the flag. And he just happened to get that particular spot.
Right. And that is what...
So this is racial serendipity.
I don't know if it's lucky. Nah, he's not lucky.
I mean, obviously, we weren't coming for you, but we just happened to put this just in case the right person was visiting and they wanted to get the right spot at the place. Right. There's only one of you. So let's see. What's the likelihood of just one of you, since there's only one, getting this particular spot that has only happened since 2019, which for those who don't know, is only 6 months ago. So they just did this. So they could leave a gift, given the fact that they know in the future that who's coming to the race.
Right.
So we're supposed to be so blind that we have no idea that this is left, yet the stagers of the race know where they're going to put people in advance. And we're supposed to believe that they didn't know. Right.
And that's that type of coincidence we don't fall for. That's just like, that's too coincidental that he got that particular stall that happened to have a garage closer that in the shape of a noose. Yeah, you're right. It's just too much. It's too coincidental. And so that's what
the case here is of a deadly weapon. It ain't a garage closer, it's a deadly weapon. See, because you can just imagine putting somebody's neck in there and then opening the garage. Oh, happy day. Don't have to kick the bucket if you can just push the garage opener and there's a person dangling.
Yeah.
Who they use it on?
Yeah.
Did they see who was really using it?
Right.
And why the race tolerated it in 2019?
Right. This is what we call...
So which culture is this? The hate culture? Sound like a hate crime to me.
Yeah. This is interesting. This is what you call plausible deniability. And what that means is that you can set up something that looks like an accident and can't nobody prove that it was on purpose. And so, yeah, and this is what the police do a lot. Before these video cameras, like video cameras, then what happened to R could be plausibly, meaning believably, that they murder him. What happened to Mr. George Floyd in Minneapolis, that could be denied. So plausibly. So that's what you call plausible deniability, right? No harm, no foul. So yes, it's what's happening right now in the stall. I mean, it's too coincidental. All these drivers, all these stalls, and the one with the noose on it happened to be the one that you put him in. There's no other noose to close the garage. No other garage closer with the noose.
I keep sharing with you that was never a closer. They probably joked around and put the noose on some unsuspecting brother that had a job there. Somebody has had experience with nooses. They need to check for fingerprints. They literally need to check for fingerprints there.
At Talladega in Alabama, the world's most famous track.
Yeah, they need to check and see which group of people there were noose makers. Like, who was the noose maker? Who did the noose belong to? What was funny about the noose? They should interview every driver that's seen the noose, because obviously some of them have seen the noose.
That's an interesting point.
I mean, we got 101 white drivers. Now, 1 out of 100 turns out that the one black man
has the door has the door closer.
Gets picked for. I don't believe it's a door closer. Once again, it is like you and I go into a restaurant and they give us watermelon.
Right.
He gets a noose out of 100, 101.
It's hard to believe that was an accident, that was a coincidence. It's just hard to believe. And so,
but there's a Southern heritage, right?
Yeah.
Southern culture that just took down the Klan's colors.
Yeah.
Those are Klan colors. I mean, nobody wants to say what it is, but it's Klan colors.
And I can't even envision any scenario by which you have a garage closer, whether it's just a regular door or you pull it from up to pull it down, that you would need a door closer or a garage closer in the shape of a noose. It's not necessary. There are other ways to pull. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, their side is going to say, well, this is fake. He made it all up, or this is a false alarm. But out of 100 drivers or 200 drivers, the one black man gets the garage with a noose on it. I'm sorry.
No, after NASCAR has decided that they're going to change the protocol for calling meetings and Klan rallies. You can no longer fly the colors.
Right. It's too coincidental. It's too perfect. And
I could get a statistician on to talk about what it is, what that really is as it relates to moving the flag, having a race, one black driver,
and the rest of the field had a good laugh about it. Everybody else had a good laugh. All the rest of the drivers and the pit workers, the garage workers, the car workers, they all had a good laugh at his expense, because it was like, we taught this Negro, this man, this boy, what his place is. We might not be able to fly the flag, but we can still teach him and treat him like a boy. And that's basically what I envision happen. And again, they could deny it because there's no blood. And unless the FBI secretly took fingerprints, like you said, and going on to further investigation about why it was, why would a garage stopper or opener would be shaped like a noose? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's very interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna watch, the news.
And they
as well as
walking
Twitter.
around the track. in solidarity. They came together. You know, I think there's a question mark on, you know, who's missing the point.
Yeah.
There's something that we're missing, even as we're walking in solidarity. How'd I get picked? This is a Martin Luther King moment for people that don't see it and want to stand on the sidelines. Bubba is not standing on the sidelines, and you still see the attacks. He's not on the sidelines, and you're comfortable on the sidelines. But anyhow, we got our brother here. Best
Oh,
of the best. He's here.
Oh, okay, good, good. I'm glad to see that he has shown up and you know, blessed our news, rolling out news this evening. Are we talking about who I think we're talking about?
I guess if they bring him on, we'd know, wouldn't it? He just
Because,
dropped it.
I've had enough of I've had enough of NASCAR nooses. You know,
they said don't bang on the table.
oh, okay,
No, they told me that.
got you. But while we're waiting on him, yeah, did you ever see that video of the woman who gave the explanation for Aunt Jemima, the history
I
behind
did.
that?
Did you finally get her?
No, I reached out and I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna follow up again tomorrow. Well, actually, probably after we get off the show. But
Yeah, you got it. Let's see it.
Oh, the video? I don't. Well, if we have time enough to put it up before we welcome our next guest. I don't know if Tigner, if our producer has it right now. I'll have to see, because that, you know, that it was just brilliantly put together, and
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, the sketch was nice.
I thought the sketch was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so yeah, some work went into that. So yeah, that was pretty good. I'm gonna ask him if he has. Oh, he keeps dropping. Okay. Well, if we got a minute, and if you got the time, if you're able to. Oh, there he is. There you go.
What's going on, man? Tank!
What's up? You're on mute, sir.
Mute. There we go. Oh, there I am.
What's happening, man?
What's the deal, baby? Talk to me.
Ah, you hear that, T?
Oh yeah.
She must
That's
not
what's
be
up,
on the
man.
show. He said, "What's the deal, baby? Talk to me."
My brothers.
What's going on, bro?
What's happening?
Man, I'm good, man. Here with the family, man, you know, focusing on what's important, strategizing, you know.
You know, it's been a year. It was a year we were doing the Comcast work together about a year ago. In June for Black Music Month.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah, good time. Nah, you're good. But tell us about this Worth the Wait, man. You got all this great music. EP, Worth the Wait.
Well, you know, it's the sequel to While You Wait.
Right.
And, you know, it's just more of me providing, you know, hopefully a soundtrack, you know, hopefully some type of comfort during this time while we wait for everything to get back to what is going to be the new normal, while we wait to get out the house, while we wait to take these masks off, whatever, you know what I mean? And so this compilation of music is just something that I felt like I could dedicate to the moment, dedicate to the entire family, you know what I'm saying? Like while the quarantine is happening, all these things are happening, like families are as close together and as tight-knit as they've ever been, you know what I mean? And so for me and my music, you know, you might have to skip a few if you're playing some of these albums, amen, because it's not always appropriate for depending on who's in the room, amen. So
Amen.
I wanted to provide something that could bring the whole family together, man, and we could listen, enjoy, reflect, all of those things.
Let's see. And I mean, look, it must be particularly gratifying to have a piece of work that you created, and then it resonates so deeply that you put out a sequel. It's just like a sequel of a great movie. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it reaches the fans, and it reaches into the depths of their souls. And then it, like you said, provides a soundtrack to a particular period and moment in time in their lives that you put out a sequel on it. So that has to be a very gratifying feeling, because it's one thing to put out music, and then there's another thing to put out music that hits. But then
because I wasn't anticipating, you know, everybody to really care a bunch. You know what I'm saying? I was hoping that a few people would gravitate to it and use it, you know, for whatever need that they had. And then it just kind of started blowing up and being talked about everywhere and listened to. And you know, so I kind of challenged myself. I was like, well, since y'all like it so much, you know, if y'all give me 5,000 likes, you know what I'm saying, or whatever I said, I'm gonna do 4 more songs. I got you. And you know, I've never got no 5,000, you know, yeses before, you know what I'm saying? So it was really a challenge to myself. I was, I'm not gonna get no 5,000 yeses. And I got 5,000 yeses. I was like, I done put my foot in my mouth. And now I gotta do 4 new songs. Which, you know, hard work is easy work. So, you know, we went back in, put it together, and I was able to get Ashley J, make her part of this one, which is really cool. And the rest is us right here talking about it.
Yeah, talk about that career. No, go ahead, Moses.
No, I'm not sure, bro. The body of work that you've done is incredible.
Thank you, sir.
I think that the value proposition that you give to Black men, particularly for me, is one of confidence. Because I'm tired of brothers just whining when they singing. They really not saying what they mean. You know, it's all, I'm gonna rap a little bit. I'm not gonna be real about what it is. I mean, I want to thank you, man, because you know we need real men making music that's thinking about it and representing us. And I think your body of work does that. How do you still come up with these hits that allow you to share what's on your mind and connect with our souls?
I think I'm just connected to my life experiences in that way, right? So, you know, I don't fight to be relevant. I think every day that you're alive, you know, the things that are happening right in front of you, that's the relevance right there. And being able to take life as you live it and put it into song is just my gift. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just writing my life as I live it, as I go through it. You know what I mean? And as I hear it, as I see it, you know what I mean? So most of it is personal, and some of it is, you know, some of it is a story, you know, could be from you, Munson, or it could be something I heard from you, Terry. It could be, you know, all of these things. But, you know, I let my gifts speak for me. And, you know, people, you know, 20-some years later, people still want to hear it. You know, listen, I don't claim to have the formula. You know what I mean? I don't have you got to do it this way in order for it to work. I don't have none of that. You know,
Tank, man, it is, that's a big lie for all y'all out there who don't know. Let me tell you something. Tank will get on the floor and do 200 push-ups, 8 sit-ups, and look at your ass like, you know why you so fat, right? And you know why they screaming for me, right? Because I put it in. I put in the work, you know? I got some gifts.
I'm a hard worker.
And I'm going to put it in. Like, you understand that? For the ladies, worker. I'm going to put it in.
Yes, sir.
And for you guys, I'm going to put it in because then they're going to ask me to put it in instead of you. Just in case you didn't know.
Hard work.
All those who are lazy and you're not on your grind in Corona, Tank is still getting it in. And I think that's important. And I said it but I say it for real. Because if you in Corona and you wanted to have some new child support, just play some Tank. Because he gonna make you go out and y'all gonna make a Corona baby. But if you believe that you know something about singing and you can't connect with your woman, play some Tank. Because he'll come in the room. So I want to thank you, brother, for bringing some solutions to our community.
I'm the CP3 of R&B. I throw the lob. It is your job, then therefore, to either lay it up or dunk it. What are you gonna do?
Right. I like that. I like that analogy. But you know, I wanted to talk about the creative process. Is obviously been I don't know if disturbed has been the right way, but it's been altered during this pandemic. For some people, they admitted, some entertainers that we've interviewed have admitted that they couldn't create, that it took them a while to get themselves together because of the radical disturbance to their process. How's this creative process been for you these last 3 months, I would believe? How has it altered yours? Or
Not at all.
okay.
You know, but I said, you know, my gift is different. You know, I sing it, I write it, I produce it. You know what I mean? You know, I own it. I'm signed to myself, you know, so I release it when I want to release it. You know, my company infrastructure is set up that way. So even before Corona, I was kind of Corona proof, you know, in my musical business practices. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of prepared for this and not even knowing it was getting ready to happen. But I can see how it could affect a lot of artists who are waiting to be scheduled, waiting on producers, waiting on songwriters, waiting on all these things to come together. And in Corona, all of these things are forbidden. They have to be apart. You know what I mean? That's the rule. So for me, it was just work as usual. It was just continuing. And what I didn't want to do was, I didn't want to do something that didn't fit the moment. More for me was trying to figure out the aesthetic that catered to the moment. And once I figured that part out, I was off to the races.
I see. Well, some of our Facebook fans, you know, it was just like, but we got Mary J. Hicks Bay. She said, "Are you just singing or are you just chatting?" And then Shelly Peckerhard, she said, "Thought you was singing. You know, thought you was singing there." So, you know.
Yeah, see, they, you know, listen, we are here to sharpen iron. There's iron sharpening iron on this one, okay? If you want to hear some singing, there's While You Wait and there's Worth the Wait. You know what I'm saying? All at a very low price that you can afford during the Corona and stimulus check time. Like, you can afford these things. Go and get that. And then, if that ain't enough, there's a live concert on Keith Sweat's IG. Go to the link in his bio. Live concert done with me, iHeartRadio. It's on there. 50 minutes of that real stank on you. You know what I'm saying? Live band. Everything you need is something on there. Come on now, let us talk sometime. Let us build. Let us have conversations, young ladies. I can't have my shirt off all the time. I want to put my shirt on sometimes.
Well, they don't want that. That's not what they want.
We can have you sing, Terry. You know.
No.
Go ahead, man. Give them some.
No, they ain't the same. They ain't the same. These ladies on Facebook, they asking for a tank. They want some tank. They don't want me to take my shirt off. They know, because we would have no more viewers. So I leave all that to tank.
Everybody don't want the same thing. There are some women for you too. Trust me.
Yes, but just not these women. They here for you. So yeah. There's some women out there for me, but just not these women. They just like So but yeah. So you know what? I understand where you're coming from and how, like you said, your stuff was coronavirus proof. Like you were already a self-contained entity, a unit.
Yes, sir.
You were just rolling along. And so when this thing came down on the rest of the world, you were already inside your musical bunker, so you didn't have to move. You didn't have to alter. You just got up and did what you did the previous day, the previous month, the previous year.
Been right in my guest house.
I know that's right.
Yes, sir.
So what are some of the key hits on some of these this new album that, you know what I'm saying? I know that it's hard to pick out some, but are there some like is this Pillow, and you said there was some the family music, and then there's some, you know what I'm saying, for closed door activities.
I'll tell you what, Take Me Away is a very special song to me, just because of, you know, the collaboration with Ashley J. I've been trying to do something with her for a long time. She's been taking my videos to the next level. I sit on my piano and I just sing, and I put it on Instagram, and then she takes it and just puts this glorious harmony to it, man. And it just takes it to a whole nother level. So I was like, I got to do something with her. So I found her. I was like, I need you. Let's go. And we did one together. And just, you know, just being able to open that door to share a moment with her was really special. And then I have a song on the new one called Value, in which I speak to men to really understand the value. You know what I mean? Like, we don't ever have that conversation, you know what I'm saying, where you are worth something. You know what I'm saying? You do have something to bring to the table, and believe in that. Have some confidence in that. You know, we are we are ultimately here to protect our families and protect our women. But within that, we have to understand what our true value is, you know what I mean? And what we mean to our families and what we mean to the universe. And so, you know, I wrote a song from that space to give fellas an opportunity to be like, yeah, I am somebody, you know what I mean? And put that thing together. So those two songs, I think, stand out.
I see. And then tell me the different types of stimuli that you receive when you're making it, you know, in the studio and when you actually perform it on stage in front of a live audience. Because I've checked you out on several Tom Joyner cruises, and you know, you basically one side of the shit is about to tilt because all the women are all in your concert on one side. So you know what I'm saying, when you perform, the whole boat shuts down. I'm just like, man, the whole boat just shut down, man.
You know what? I'm from church, man. So, you know, everything you sing, like, you got to make it personal. You know what I mean? The people who are receiving it have to feel like it's genuinely for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, especially in dealing with women, like, you have to cater that thing to where, you know, it can meet a woman wherever she is. You know what I mean? Whether it be building her up, whether it be comforting, whether it be, you know, the compliments, whether it be, you know, the sensual moments, all of those things. You got to be able to articulate it to a point to where they know you mean business. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't just words. I'm not just saying words to you. I'm just not running game. No, This is real life. This is what I do. This is what will be done to you and for you. Like, and when women believe that,
right, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Shelly Parknahad, she is just persistent. She said, well, you can at least talk with your shirt off. It's shameless, bro. They shameless. They coming at you. They coming at you, man.
Listen, I respect it. And listen, when they open these clubs and some of these venues, ladies, bring your wands. I'm gonna bring it with me. Bring your wands with you.
You hear that, Shelly? You hear that, Shelly? All right now. Yeah, so what is next? I mean, like you said, we all have to wait. Do you see the industry opening up enough to where, you know, these people like Shelly and Maya Hicks can see you in person? Do you see that this year? Or
it's really going to depend on how the venues treat all of this.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I was going to put up a post the other day that said, man, Trump can have rallies, but we can't have concerts. And the simple item in all of that was a waiver. The people who wanted to go to that rally said, we will sign a waiver so that we can be there. We don't care what's going on. And half of us don't believe it no way. So, you know, I think it's going to depend on how deeply fans are committed to the live experience, to where they're either sign a waiver or not. And if venues have graduated to the space to where they want to have that type of conversation as well.
Well, bro, we appreciate you coming on. We really always look forward to connecting. I hope those that needed the courage to understand that now you can value yourself, which not many brothers hear. And that's why I always respect where you're coming from, because at least you're a stand-up brother versus brothers just always sitting down and not acting like, you know, play your position, bro. Play your position. So thanks so much, Tank. Let us know what else we can do, man. See you soon.
Brothers, man. Absolutely.
Peace. Tank!
Yeah, it's good to have some singing on. It's good to have somebody who sang. You know what I'm saying? You know, these ladies just want to get sang to. Maya and Shelly, they just want him to sing.
They are going off, man.
They're going crazy. They're going crazy, and they're shameless with it.
They need to go watch and do what he said. Go over there to iHeart and check him out.
Right. He gave the instructions.
He told him where to go just so that you can get a piece of the action right now. They can do
did he come back? Oh, did he come back? Oh, Tank is frozen. Okay, his thing is frozen. Okay. But yeah, that was good for him to stop by and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's inspiring. it is truly inspiring. Truly inspiring there, Terry.
Yeah, and it's it's just something to look forward to. If folks could just, we don't know exactly when it's going to end, but if you could just hold on for a few more months, we're going to be in the clear. At least, I mean, there's going to be a new reality, but at least, oh yeah, the Aunt Jemima video, yeah, we got to check that out. But
let's check it out.
Yeah, but it's good to see a real singer stop by and to let us know what it is and where people can find them. You know what I'm saying? And coalesce with other singers, collab with other singers like Keith Sweat, people who actually sing, and you know what I'm saying? And that's where people can get their nourishment from. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's up. Munson and I, we're gonna keep our shirts on, and that's not our. I'm not about that life, Munson. I ain't
Gotta
about
play
that.
your position, Terry. Gotta play your position. That's why we appreciate our brother.
Right, exactly.
He'll do 400 push-ups in an hour and let you know why they came to the venue.
Right, exactly.
He gonna get it in and work very hard.
Yes, and he works hard. He works hard
all day. And Aunt Jemima was finally retired. And for those who don't understand why.
Yeah, they finally retired after, I think it was bought in 1921, Aunt Jemima by Quaker Oats, which was then purchased again in the early 2000s by Pepsi. And so after really 100 years, after 100 years, Quaker Oats finally figured out this past week that Aunt Jemima had a racist origin and that it was racist from the beginning, and that original bottle that I remember from as a kid. And yes, I did. I had pancakes with that bottle. That was the best. That was the best syrup. But that's when I was a kid. I mean, when I grew up and found out where it came from, that's why they changed. That's why they took the bottle away. That's why they introduced a real bottle, because there were so many complaints about Aunt Jemima. And so, yeah, so there's a young lady who actually explained the history of this in a brilliant way, using visuals as well as historical documentation. Came with receipts to let you know what Aunt Jemima really meant and why it should never have been in rotation in the first place. And so I'm glad that they took it out. But if TJ has, our producer TJ Tigner has that video, we can go ahead and check it out right quick. This is really kind of an innovative piece that she put together.
Did you know the name Aunt Jemima means slave man? Baby, you hungry? Let me fix some breakfast. Aunt Jemima? Did you know the name Aunt Jemima means slave mammy of the plantation South? Did you know the founder, Chris Rutt, a white man, got the name after attending a minstrel show? Think blackface. Did you also know he hired former slave Nancy Green to be his very own Aunt Jemima, where she went around cooking pancakes and telling people stories of the good old South? And afterwards, they could take home a box of Aunt Jemima and that feeling of having their very own mammy. Not today. Black Lives Matter, people. Even over breakfast.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a good way to introduce some history, and that goes back to the basic what Kevin Hunter was talking about. Just introducing interesting and relevant information and history into us in a very relevant way, in the new millennials can capture. You know what I'm saying? That's digestible, and that's appealing to their palate, because our palates, today's generation's palate is different from yours and ours, Munson. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. And so we have to come at it in a different way and meet them where they are. And that young lady certainly did. She gave a brilliant piece of history that was digestible in a way in which they can understand it. So yeah, shout out to that young lady. I'm gonna reach out to her again to see if we can get her on the show, on our morning show, the Rolling Out AM Wake Up Call, which comes on weekdays from 8 to 10 a.m. On Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and YouTube Live, so that she can explain what she meant and how she came up with that concept. So hopefully we'll be able to get her on our show. If she's listening in the audience, hey, please contact rollingout.com right now. Terry at rollingout.com. But yeah, that was brilliant. That was nice. What did you think about it, Munson?
I think the whole idea was genius.
Yeah, it was.
They had her in the right outfit for
That too.
breakfast. She definitely, huh?
I said that too.
Yeah. She had the natural hair flowing, so it was very much like, just in case you didn't know, I can spell and I can speak and I can get your attention, but this ain't for you. This ain't about whatever you thought it was about. It's about our history. It's about the respect. And it's about the fact that we have definitely seen how you've made millions off something that was not cool. And we got something for you. This is where you belong, right here. For all of y'all that got courage for this protest, to stand up, to be a part of this uprising, you definitely should pull out a few things in your cupboard and let them be gone. Let them go bygone. Let bygones be bygones, but do not forget. Do not forget who owned it. Do not forget who participated. Do not forget and participate in the fraud. Do not let us catch you with any of this in your cupboard. So you've been put on notice by this lady from this video. I did not say that. That was AI. I'm sorry. That was AI speaking.
Well, I believe that what we, in addition to her brilliant dissertation on the history of it, and including the visual demonstration, I believe that we need to put pressure on these people who are, acting like they're contrite, like Pepsi and Quaker Oats. We need to put pressure on them. Where are those KPIs? Yeah, you said you're giving up hundreds of millions of dollars, but where is it going and who's getting it and how much and for how long? Where exactly is it going? Just don't say that you're going to give, that you're going to dump money somewhere. Where's it going? And why are you giving it up? So I think that we need to continue to put pressure on these companies like the NFL, who all of a sudden have found Jesus. All of them seem to have a coming to Jesus moment when this thing resonated and bled outside of the United States onto the different countries, different continents around the world. All of a sudden, these companies have found religion. But just finding religion ain't enough.
Well, what they ended up saying about the religion of agent provocateur and those agents that come in and make as though they're our friends and sign up for rallies, but really don't sign up, just show up and ask to do things that we've not asked them to do. What happened to the lady that came down and wanted to help in Atlanta and fix the Wendy's? I think she's a window fixer.
Yeah, she definitely fixed the situation. Basically, what was going on was a nonviolent protest outside of Wendy's on University Avenue, just south of downtown Atlanta. And what happened was that we know this area very well because Rolling Out used to have its offices on Pryor Road, just like, you could throw a rock from the Wendy's to where our office used to be located on Pryor Road, just off of University. And so this young woman has been arrested. Her name is Natalie White. Interesting last name, but she is one of the so-called agent provocateurs that came from outside of the community and came down and incinerated that building. And basically, while she, the U.S. Marshal, the Fulton County Police and others obtained her arrest, but she is not the only one, they say. They said that there's a $10,000 reward for at least one other person, because they said that the fire was started in multiple areas inside the window using household products, blowtorch, and firecrackers. Because I did remember seeing firecrackers going off, and I was like, why are they shooting firecrackers near the Wendy's? Well, actually, they were shooting it in Wendy's. And so they were trying to basically turn it into one big giant incinerator. And they just goes to show that this has been happening a lot, and they've been caught thanks to modern technology. While people have been recording them, they got caught. So yeah, she's been arrested, and they're looking for the other one. And I would imagine with the United States government, the Marshal Service, the Fulton County Police, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, that the other person, if they haven't left the country yet, you know what I'm saying, or left the state yet, they're probably going to be arrested in the not too distant future. So, because a lot of times when you get caught for a first degree felony, which arson is, people start singing when they start staring at that time in prison. So, you know, so yeah, so I believe there's going to be some Tekashi 6ix9ine going on. There's going to be somebody going to get Tekashi. So yeah, that's what's going on, and you can see check out the entire story, which is already written and up on rollingout.com with the Wendy story, and also the story about Bill Cosby getting his appeal, and also about what's going on with Bubba Wallace with NASCAR and that noose that was already there since 2019, but happened to be in the very stall, one of 100 stalls, 100 garage stalls at Talladega, Alabama, which is north of Birmingham and north of Montgomery, close to the Georgia state line, not far, but it's all the deep South, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, it's all the deep South. But anyway, it just happened to be in the stall that he was assigned to. There's only one noose. And they called it a garage opener. So the FBI found out and they canceled the investigation. They said it was a false alarm, but there was only one noose found. And it just so happened to be the one with Bubba Wallace, the only black driver on NASCAR, happened to be in. So it's an interesting set of events. So interesting set of events for Bill Cosby, because the Supreme Court obviously believes that he has something to his complaint, because even though he kind of admitted his crimes, the previous prosecutor said it's going to be sealed and never delivered, but it was delivered. So, wait a minute. TJ says we have another, our producer says we have another video coming up with Kamala Harris. Well, what's going on with her?
She was doing the council action and had strong action today. Check her out.
Oh, okay.
Like judiciary.
Oh, I see. Well, if it's ready, I'm ready to check it out, because she's still under okay, that's cool, but she's still under consideration. Maybe not at the top of maybe not at the front of the line, but she was vetted to be a vice presidential candidate for Joe Biden, and he has quite a list.
Sharpe is here. Pastor Sharpe.
Oh, Pastor Sharpe is here now? Okay.
He is here.
Okay, well, we can wait on the Kamala Harris video. I need to check that out, and might have to even prepare that for tomorrow morning for our morning readers, because we have you have a different audience that check us out at night than that does during the day, and does in
Shirley. You seen Shirley?
No, I haven't seen Shirley, but maybe she fell off. That happens from time to time. But yeah, it's just interesting how things are just developing, and just it's just fluid. It's just moving like it's moving like the waves in the water. It's just never still. The news just keeps coming and keep flowing, and that hey, what's up? Say hi to Barbara Fields from Albany, Georgia. We got some fans in Albany, which is about an hour.
Hey, Barbara, how are you?
Yes, shout out to Barbara and to the rest of the Facebook fans who have come to check us out. Yeah,
4 hours away.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. Tickner is 4 hours away south. So you didn't, so an hour sounds like 4 hours. But yeah. Because I was thinking about, I can't even think of the city now, but you're right. Albany is 4 hours south of Atlanta, and Georgia is quite a big state, huge. And so, but shout out to Barbara for checking us out. We appreciate it.
We do.
We appreciate all the people who have checked us out and who checked out Tank earlier, who wanted to take his shirt off. Maya J. Hicks, behave yourself. And you too, Shelly Pak Nahad. Y'all behave yourself and go check out Tank on Facebook, Instagram, and on iHeartRadio. Go ahead and check that brother out, because he come with the real. So, but but it was just saw that many of the people who testified. Oh, okay, the video is ready we're talking about Kamala Harris.
I'm sure. Yeah,
so Kamala Harris is, she was the Attorney General for the state of California, who is a senator now, and
on the Judiciary Committee.
In the Judiciary Committee.
Roll with that video.
Well, Senator Cornyn, you and I both serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee. as does Senator Booker, Senator Durbin. We all serve on the Judiciary Committee. The two Senate authors of this bill serve with you on the Senate Judiciary Committee. As you know, because we've been present together during our most recent hearings, we have asked that there would be a meaningful discussion of the Justice and Policing Act in that committee. None has occurred. So if we're going to talk about process, let us look at all the tools that are available to well-intentioned, well-meaning legislators if the goal is actually to solve and address the issue at hand. I've seen no evidence of that. I've seen no evidence of, in fact, what I've seen reading some of the newspapers, sometimes they get things wrong, but if they got it right, the Senate leader said that he has no interest in engaging in that kind of discussion or debate before putting the bill on the floor for a vote tomorrow.
Madam President, may I ask one last question of the Senator? What I'm trying to fathom, Madam President, is why the Senator would rather have these negotiations occur behind closed doors as opposed to here on the floor of the Senate for the American people to see broadcast on television. Don't you think that sort of interaction and debate and negotiation out in front of all 330 million Americans would be beneficial to healing our country and coming to some consensus about what the appropriate reforms should be?
Indeed, that is the beauty of the Judiciary Committee. Our meetings are public meetings.
Counsel, she was like, are you sure you're a part of this? Are you sure that you understand what you're saying? Or were you just saying something to hear yourself talk, given that we are having public meetings and that there aren't any private meetings? You just don't want to hold the meeting.
Right. I think he was trying. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, she canceled him with that rhetoric.
Yeah, she shut that down because of the fact that, he looks like he was trying to set a trap, and it turns out the rabbit has the gun. So, he thought he was hunting her, and he turned out to be, he didn't realize that she had him in her sights all that time, and she shut him down. And so it's good that these things are publicized and that these things are coming to light because you can't hide. And so exactly what you say and what you do can be recorded, and then they could be brought back up in at a future date, and when you're coming up for re-election, just like what's going on in the state of Kentucky, where a black man is leading the Democratic primary, and
right.
So at this particular juncture, and I'm gonna have to find out what his name is, and see if we can get him on the show. I know he's very, very busy right now, but still, he can take a few minutes to talk to us about what's going on. But also, the fact that he would be, be in line to replace the antiquated, the political dinosaur that's there now. Let's see if we can get his name right quick. It's not okay. I'll just continue to look for it. But
what you need, the name of the state rep that's running in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Good.
I have that. Because they were calling earlier.
Okay.
And his the young man who was actually running.
Oh yeah, for the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, no, but his name is Charles Booker.
Yeah, and he's doing well, but it looks like
let's not pastor because we don't want him to miss being able to preach on rolling out. We're getting ready to have a word of prayer. Bring him on in. Terry.
Yeah, but we definitely need to be infused.
Hey, you made it. You made it.
How are you? How are you, brothers?
Hey, how you doing, man?
How are you? That's the question.
Man, I have no complaints on my end.
You mean y'all not having church in the church at fellowship?
No, we won't be going back for a little minute.
You mean you standing up?
Man, listen, no way. We got to be wise out here in these streets.
Exactly.
Why don't you let everybody? I'm grateful that you came. Obviously, given that I attend fellowship and my wife is more in tune to the Sunday morning worship, and watched you on Angela Rye the other day.
Oh, man.
But my favorite thus far has been Kevin on stage. You know?
Oh man, you watch?
I'm probably about 10 times. I'm
Really?
at least 10 of them. I'm at least 10 of those views.
Wow, man, that's crazy. We had a great time. The conversation was all over the place too. We covered a lot.
Access to God. I mean, I think the thing that you are giving and a great spiritual example of giving access to God in a new voice, in a new method. What has inspired, and obviously your connection is strong, so I respect where you're coming from. But you're giving people access to him in ways and through many messages that when I listen, I'm just like amazed.
Wow.
What's brought that forward?
Man, for me, God is just so much bigger than a building, so much bigger than a church, so much bigger than a denomination. God is bigger than the Bible. God predates the Bible. God is the Word. And so when I realized that there are people who may never step foot in the Bible and in the church, they may not identify with a denomination, it becomes my job and the job of ministers who care to make God accessible. I like that word that you just used, accessible to those that may not find their healing in the same spaces that I find healing, but that doesn't mean God's not healing. And what I've been trying to tell people is, why are we rushing back to the building when half of Jesus's ministry didn't take place in the building? When he was healing lepers and feeding 5,000, that wasn't in the building. When he died and when he got up on Sunday morning, one of the pillars of our faith, that didn't happen in the building. And so I believe in taking God to where the people are. And man, we do that by becoming what we believe. And when I say that, I mean, it's a difference in trying to say what you believe and becoming it, being the embodiment of peace, being the embodiment of justice, being the embodiment of understanding and wisdom. So I try to embody that and not just speak it.
Okay, but there's only one thing, and you are definitely much smarter than me, but there's a word we don't allow, and I don't believe that you mean it when you say it. You don't try nothing.
Oh, man.
Going on, amen. Hallelujah, you're anointed brother, amen. You're not trying. You're not trying. There's nothing that you are trying about because you show up every day.
I love it.
One of the things they celebrate is they say, it's easy to be a preacher on Sunday. When the phone ring. When you get all the depressed news and you don't want none of them secrets that you got to listen to. That's a whole lot. So I don't want people to believe you trying. I've seen people try to preach. They don't do that very well.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that too. Well, I'm going to adopt that for the rest of my life. No, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're being it.
He's in our lives, and I only play. People who know me know I say we don't try because I'm here with my co-host, and literally he is dedicated to journalism in a way that most don't. He doesn't try to write. He writes. He has a ferocious appetite, and he's a PK.
Wow.
Right, Terry?
Oh yeah. I'm a PK. I grew up in the church, so I know that God is within us at all times, and that He, brings you through the power of prayer. brings you through situations that you had no business getting out of.
Yeah.
And so, and God has guided me to this particular juncture of my life. And I think that, there's messages that God set us down. It's like, this is God's way of sitting the world down, because this thing shut down the entire globe. I don't think we've never seen anything like this, not in the last 100 years. And so, it's almost as if God said, okay, y'all need to sit down for a minute. Y'all need to just sit down and shut up for a minute. And so what can we learn? What's important that we understand and realize at this time, Reverend Sharpe?
For me, it's been understanding just how fragile life is. We've taken way too much for granted. We walk around with so much arrogance. That tomorrow is coming. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. We'll work on that later. You halfway talk to people when you're talking to them. You don't look people in the eye. You don't call people back. If somebody crosses your mind, you don't reach out. What this has taught me is about the fragility of life. Man, it's so fragile. People that were here last week are gone. Yeah. Watching a video of D.L. Hughley, no symptoms, passes out on stage in Nashville just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Just so fast. He went from talking to completely out of it. I mean, it's just so fast. And so I've learned in this, and I think God is telling us, man, y'all need to refocus on what matters. And while this country is in love with the color green, we've lost our compassion for humanity too. And so I think that this forces us to care about people in a new way. That's why you see the protests. That's why you see people out here pushing for human civil rights, because we have to get back to what really matters, and that's caring for people, regardless of color, creed, sexuality, ethnicity. So that's been some of my key lessons. That may not be deep, but it's been direct for me.
When you're deep, you lose half your audience. You get deep, I'll say you lose half your audience. You go real deep. Everybody can't follow deep. Got to keep it where they can eat and get it. But how important is it to have a personal relationship with God or with Jesus? I mean, I think we're in this moment where we have, if you can get away, how important is that personal relationship, and how would you prescribe people develop a personal relationship with God and Jesus? Because we're in the time of need. We're in crisis. We can't see the enemy. We're hurting because people have died. We can't get the touch of our loved ones and our family. How important is it to have a personal relationship with God and Jesus right now?
Well, I would say that two things. One is what Brother Terry just shared about the power of prayer. There is something above us, in us, that is stronger than us. Howard Thurman, that great mystic, our Morehouse brother,
yeah,
he said there is a strength beyond your strength, giving strength to your strength. And so no matter how strong we are, I think with all of our accomplishments and all the privileges and platforms of popularity and prominence and all of that, there is something that gives strength to the strength we think we have. And just to realize that there is a force, there is an energy, whatever you want to call it, there is God, there is spirit, there is a help, there is a peace, there's a wisdom that is something you can't capture in one place and one person. It's bigger than all of us. So while that might be what we need to get in tune with through prayer, through meditation, through reading the Bible, but we also need to do that through connecting with community. And while we haven't been in church, man, Black folk are communal people. We don't, that whole individualism and me, myself, and I Trinity, that's something we learned from the West. That's not intrinsic to who we are. We're communal people. We're generational people. Grandma Nim, that's who we are.
And Nim, that's right.
Yeah, Doc, Grandma Nim, you hear me? Mm-hmm. So being with people, I don't care if it's virtual, every Monday at 6:30, my family has a Zoom call. Man, my grandmother, my mother-in-law, our age group, me and my wife, and our nieces and nephews and little cousins. So you have 4 generations on the Zoom call. When I tell you we have so much church on there, and we're not even talking about church, but it's a spirit, it's a power when you're together. Right. When you see grandma and listen to her wisdom, you see the little baby and their smile, and their questions. And everybody, you got to find a way to stay together through this thing. And that's where the power is. The power is not in isolation. The power is in community. And whether that's a friend, whether that's church family, whether that's, hey, we're going to get on Zoom and just chat it up with the brothers and the sisters, whatever you got to do, don't do this thing alone. And so that's my advice, you know.
Absolutely. I've been in multiple of those family calls already.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly the world got adapted to Zoom.
Yes.
Zoom, you know, Zoom is winning. You know, Zoom is winning in this particular time. But it's important, and it's also, you know, if you read the Bible, you know, most of the time God's miracles were performed through other people who helped to make a pathway for you, or to help to open the door here. So it's incumbent upon us to remain communal.
Yes.
It's just hard right now in this particular juncture, but you can still connect with people, because it's through people that God produces miracles for other people.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not that, you know, he's not gonna open up the sky and there's gonna be a blaze of lightning and then there's your miracle. He usually performs his miracles through other people.
Come on, that's
so
good.
So the fact that, you know, that you said that while it's necessary to be in church where everybody can congregate once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week or how many times, it's not an absolute necessity, particularly in this time, because you can serve God and you can be part of the body of God outside of the church. As you said, as you so eloquently stated and outlined, that Jesus, most of the time, Jesus was not in church. Matter of fact, most of the time he wasn't.
Hey, and listen, and when he went to church, they were trying to kick him out the church. He was so radical, man. But another piece of this, Terry, is we got to watch out. We got to care for our mental health too. That's something that Black people have swept under the rug for too long, especially Black men. And so I'm pushing hard from the pulpit. I'm pushing hard every time I'm on a call. Somebody asks me, what do we need to do in this season? I've been talking about 2 pandemics, COVID-19 and covert and overt racism, 2 pandemics that are out of control. And there's no vaccination or explanation for either one of them. No. And what I keep trying to tell people is when you're in a season like that, where things are out of control, you got to care for yourself in a different way. And one counselor put it like this: quarantine has made people sit with their shadows. You can't run from yourself while you stuck at home. You know, and a lot of our schedules, you know, if I'm honest, it wasn't that we were working, we were running from ourselves. So the busyness kept us, gave us space to avoid ourselves. But mental health, investing in a therapist, those are key things that help us survive this, man. We need it now more than ever. And we got to be okay to tell people you can have Jesus and a therapist, because I'm a pastor and I got one.
Amen for the therapist. What are 3 successful habits for our daily routine to help us maintain our sanity and our peace of mind?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I would say, you have to find ways to savor life. Savor everything. Savor, that word savor, S-A-V-O-R. I was reading this book by Kirk Byron Jones, and it deals with, the title slips my mind, but he spends a lot of time talking about savoring. Whatever you do, be there. Be where your feet are is a quote I read that blessed me. Be where your feet are. If you're at home, be there. If you're talking to your wife, be there. If you're at work, be there. If you're watching a movie, be there. If you're in a conversation, be there. And savor it. You know, Buddhists will call it being present, being mindful. In Christian, we call it be present, you know, whatever. Just savor that moment, and don't be always rushing to the next thing. That's one. Savor life. Savor it. I mean, if you're chewing something, taste the salt, the seasoned salt, taste everything. Savor it. Number 2, we have to, I would say, avoid toxic vocabulary. It's kind of what you just checked me on, Brother Munson. You said, no, I don't say try. Now, while somebody would say, oh, that's small. No. Because your mouth actually has power over your mind. Scientists have proven that if I say I feel good, even when I'm sick, the mind gets tricked and says, oh, we feel good because he keeps saying, or she keeps saying, I feel good. So you got to avoid that toxic vocabulary. Well, I don't know. I ain't feeling my best today. No, use the words, I feel better. I'm getting stronger. I'm figuring it out. Things are improving. And even though like the reality may not match what you want it to be right now, but you have to avoid toxic vocabulary and how we speak to our loved ones, how we speak to our partners in life. That toxic vocabulary is something that's to shift. And I found that. So one thing I say, Brother Munson, is nothing happens to me, things happen for me, especially when troublesome things happen. I look right at it and I say, no, that didn't happen to me, that happened for me. That's a mental shift. So when my mouth shifts, my mind shifts, and then my world shifts ultimately. So savor life, avoid toxic vocabulary. And then thirdly, what are some habits of successful people? I would say, whatever you do, be organized and prioritize. Be organized and prioritize. Get up with a plan. Write out what's on your mind. Don't walk around scattered brain. Write it down. If you got 7 things floating through your mind, write it down.
Malachi, right?
Huh?
The book of Malachi, right?
Habakkuk, write the vision, make it plain.
Right, make it plain. And whoever sees it runs with it.
That's right. So write it. Organization and prioritization. Those are key for successful people. Have to be organized. Somebody told me if your desk is messy, it's a sign that your mind is messy. If your house is messy, it's a sign that your mind is messy. So the minute you organize your stuff, you organize your psyche. And you're able to float. So I hope that helps somebody. I think it will. It has helped me.
No, I think
we know that
somebody. And as a matter of fact. Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm saying I know it's going to be a blessing. Probably to me. I probably needed to hear it because a lot of times, when it's just serendipity just happens. It's not just serendipity. It's not just coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Because I read earlier this scripture. I mean, somebody, a minister saying, as you keep saying what God says about you, those words start to take root. What you say about yourself, you give the right to come to pass. And so that's just an extension of what you just said about toxic rhetoric about yourself. If you say toxic things, you're going to bring toxicity into your life. But when you say empowering words about yourself and about your situation, then like you said, it starts to transform your mind and then starts to transform your life around you, the things that orbit around you, and then it transforms your world. So, somebody needed to hear that today. Somebody. Probably me, but yeah, somebody else needs to hear
it. I need to hear it twice. I had to hear it twice, 3 times. When you said it, say it back to myself. I'm going to be in the moment. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to be in the moment. You say savor it. I'm going to savor the moment. I'm going to savor the information. I definitely think that, it's a healing proposition. I want to know that it was Kurt Byron Jones, Addicted to Hurry.
One book is Addicted to Hurry. Another one is Rest in the Storm. But the book that talks about the savoring pace, man, oh, y'all need this. Give me 1 second.
Give me a little Google.
Yeah, I'm about to Google this because everybody needs this one. This last one is so powerful. Oh, it's called Holy Play, HOLY Play. And he talks about how creative people find and carve out space to play and relax because it's in the relaxation when the creativity starts. So if you ever notice when you're really, really stressed about something, and you feel that pressure, you can't think. But as soon as you back off, go to the kitchen, fix some tea, walk outside, do something else, all of a sudden, or get in the shower. It's like, oh, there it is. He says there's something called holy play, where you can't lose your ability to laugh. You can't lose your ability to have fun. You can't lose your ability to go chill with your boo. He said that's where the secret sauce is for geniuses. And I've heard people say this, man. You remember that song Happy by Pharrell?
Yeah.
Because I'm along if you feel. He wrote that in the shower. Totally chilling. He said, I was in the shower and somehow the noise of the shower creates in him the ability to hear songs. So as he's just in there chilling, no pen, no nothing, here comes a whole song that killed the charts. One of his top songs to this day.
Yeah.
And what Kirk Byron Jones argues is, don't lose your ability to chill and relax. Can't be stressed all the time. Can't be serious all the time. So I recommend all 3 of those books for everybody that lives at a certain pace.
So when is your book coming out?
When is my book coming out? Well, you know what? I have no answer for you, but I will say this: it's in process, and I'm working on it.
We are so proud of you, brother. I just want to say that. The church family is really proud of you in all that you do. It's been a real healing. I think you go a place where you can't, you see a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of transition, I think we've seen a continued transformation, which is such a gift,
Wow.
to watch more transformation, more come, more understand, more believe, and then to have good leadership where you can see it and people are celebrating you, not just in the church, but people want to have words with you out of church. So then I know I'm getting there. Then there he goes. And that's the genius in seeing a young genius as the tentacles of hope and you having conversations which obviously engage us to the spirit, so I am really excited about what you're doing. And big ups to the wife, because I enjoy her singing since you don't sing so much. Thank you very much.
She is the singer for sure. And has a new single out, free.
Yeah. Well, you gotta tell her to come on the show, Terry. Get her on the show. We're all about promoting our community.
Man, you just let us know. She just had a birthday, and her single dropped on her birthday.
Happy birthday!
Look it up, man, and support this Black woman, all this Black girl magic.
And there's no doubt. You got the email. Terry is ready. We got an AM show every day. We got a PM show, and we're more than happy to make sure our platform is family first, bro. That's our rule over here. Family first.
Well, let me say this, man. I want to say you came and spoke at Fellowship last year, and you dropped a word on us that people are still talking about. You said everybody has to be able to pivot. And do you know how prophetic that was? I think you came, November last year? You remember that?
I only spoken that once, so I do remember that.
Yeah, man, you spoke, and it wasn't long, but it was strong. And you said we all have to learn how to pivot. Everybody that's going to be successful has to learn how to pivot. I tell you, when this pandemic happened at the church, that was the word that everybody kept saying. Well, Pastor, we have to pivot. I said, thank you, God, for Brother Steve. He got us ready for this. He got us ready for it. No, but thank you. I mean that. He changed my life that day.
No, because see, I remember Terry. They were there, the two of them, and all of a sudden, I think Pastor Jenkins was talking, and he couldn't remember the mule or the donkey was helping him get out the pit, so he couldn't remember. And he threw it to you, and you tried telling him about the story. I can't remember what the story is.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you helped him out at that moment, see, and told us what was really going on. And for me, that was just so beautiful to see that, okay, we can trust his process. Okay, he does know the Lord and he knows the word. Because, for me, that's such a blessing to know that we got a person who studied. And when you mentioned Howard Thurman, that touched my heart. Obviously, I was in Hubert Hall. All the other guys was in Thurman Hall. But between him and Benny Mays, people talk about Candle in the Dark, but that's not my favorite Benny Mays book. And for me,
Born to Rebel.
Born to Rebel is his biography. Candle in the Dark.
Trying to think. He wrote a few.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It's actually out of print. but Born in Gethsemane is there. Is Forgiveness Practicable is in there. The
Oh, is it a book or compilation of his speeches and sermons?
yeah,
I
yeah.
have that book because Be Kind to Judas is in there too, right?
Be kind to Let Us Be Kind to Judas is in there.
I have the book. I found it on Amazon, and it was so expensive. I said, I'm buying this book.
Yeah, yeah. It truly was a blessing to. It used to be one of my favorite books. I probably read it 1,000 times.
Wow. I'm trying to see if I can find the name of it, but he has so many. I don't know. It's not popping up, but I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about.
It's way out. It's way out there. So I really appreciate that.
No, I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you for having me on.
No, we got it. We had gone past our general time, and we appreciate you coming on. But without a doubt, I'm committed to have my sister come on. Terry, you let her know what day.
Okay.
So whether it's next week, you let me know. Everybody has my number, so let's make it happen. Why don't you close this out, Pastor? We're going to give a word, whatever, inspire people to move on at this moment, because it is a pandemic of and a tsunami of racism, and we now have people standing up. So thank God we got a whole movement going on.
Yeah, it's a lot happening. I want to leave this scripture, one of my favorites. It's simple. Most people know it. And Jesus says, let your light so shine so that people can see your good works, but glorify your God, which is in heaven. And my favorite word of the whole verse is let. One of my friends, when I was at Morehouse, he said, that's what people miss. The let your light. It didn't say make your light, cause your light, force your light. It says let. And right now, more than ever, we need people that will let things be. Let love flow. Let your light flow. You gotta force it. Don't make it. Just let it. And those of us that have righteousness on the inside and a heart for people, a heart for justice, we need to let that shine. And when we do that, we're actually repeating what God did in the beginning, because it was dark. It was chaos. So chaos shouldn't scare children of God, because when the world got started, it was dark and chaos. And God spoke. Come on, avoid that toxic language. What did God speak? Let there be light. And it shifted. So if God could speak that and create cosmos out of chaos, what can we create with our words, with our letting, if we trust that what God has put in us is also in other people as well? That love, that peace, joy, that wisdom, that strength. Let that shine and speak that into the atmosphere. And even if you can't change all the darkness, you light your candle, and I promise you, if it's dark enough, that light will be bright enough. So that's the word. I hope. I know that will bless you if you have the ears to hear it and receive it. Let us pray. God, I thank you for my brothers. I thank you for this time. Thank you for this sacred space. And we're even savoring this moment right now. We're well over the time that was allotted, because we've been savoring this moment. And God, for those who are listening and watching and are dealing with pandemic plights and pains, certainties of tomorrow, God, give them your peace. Allow us to cherish our community, whether it's church, whether it's virtual, whether it's family or friends. Allow us not to take any person that we love for granted. And God, help us not to take ourselves for granted. Give us the wisdom that we need for the living of these days. It's in your son, Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Be
all
sure. Right. We're here.
We'll be in touch.
All right. You got it. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, Reverend.
Yeah, Ray.
Take care. Be blessed. Yeah, it was good to get a good word.
It was. I was sending I just sent a closing out video to our team. So We're going to close it out, Terry. You go ahead and take us home. You going to take us home, Terry?
Oh, I thought a video was about to play. I just want to say,
Might play.
just going off with the Reverend was saying, and thank you for, blessing
Rolling
me.
Out Music presents Trust in Him.
Trust in Him and let Him know what's wrong. Take His hand and keep holding on. Trust in Him, just like the Bible says. Be a servant and you won't regret. He got power that you'll never see, and He got power that you can't conceive. And He's got love for every one of us. All you really got to do is, you just gotta trust. Now give it up to Him. Give it up right now. Give it up to Him. Give it up right now. Give it up to Him. Give it up right now. Give it up to Him. Give it up right now. Trust in Him. Don't you dare doubt. Bring your burden to the altar and lay them down. Peace. He can't guarantee. He do it for you, just like He did it for me. 'Cause He got power.
All right. Thank you there, TJ. Terry?
Yes, just taking a word from what the minister was saying earlier. He dropped some gems. I just recall that, I was a happier person when I wasn't always looking forward, that I was savoring the moment. When you're always in a rush, in a hurry, like the book that TJ pointed out, Kirk Byron Jones's book, Addicted to Hurry. When you're addicted to hurry, you don't enjoy life itself, then you lose it. You lose yourself and you begin to sink because you're just scrambling. You're just trying to stay afloat. And that's not going to work. So I became a happier person once I began to savor the moment and enjoy the now, to be here now, to be present. So that was a gem that he dropped. There's just a reminder that before we go back into that whirlwind of the world, when it returns to normal, whenever that will be, to remember to savor the moment. And you'll be a happier person. Savor what you got, your friends, your family, the things that are actually valuable. Savor the moment. So that's my positive word of the day.
Well, thank you, Terry. Appreciate everything. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks to all of you for tuning in to Rolling Out News Report. I'm Munson Steve. This is my co-host, Terry Shropshire. Good evening and peace. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.